What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access. And please, please, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so we can keep growing and keep bringing you guys interviews with some of the most important people in the game. Today's no exception, but like I said, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, share, tell a friend so we can keep growing. We're trying to get these views up, get these subscribers up so that we can deliver great, great, great content on an everyday basis. Now, today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by somebody I've been trying to interview since I got in the game, Dwayne Muffla Simon from the LA Posse.
What it do? What it do, baby?
Thank you for coming through, sir.
Soren Baker in the house. Soren Baker, I finally get to meet you, dude. Daryl is my partner. Big Dad has told me about you. I said, Soren Baker. I don't know Soren. I said, no, he's a real cool cat, dude. You need to get with him. I'm like, yeah. All right. So I reached out. You reached out. Here we are.
Yes. Thank you very much, man. You guys have created some of my favorite songs in rap history, and you know, I'm just going to say now, we're probably going to have to do part 2 because there's too much to talk to you about. But let's get started. Right. So,
okay.
One thing I had heard a long time ago, and I've seen it, but I wanted to verify it. So are you cousins with Roger Clayton?
Yes. Roger Clayton is my very first cousin. Blood relative. First cousin used to spend every summer together. So, yeah, Roger Clayton. That's my guy.
So for those that don't know, explain why he's so important to the game, especially on the West Coast.
Roger Clayton was, to put it plain, Roger Clayton was the Simmons of the West Coast before Russell Simmons became Russell Simmons of the East Coast. Roger had so many and so much talent under his umbrella from Uncle Jam's Army. Uncle Jam's Army is a lot of people know, a lot of people don't know. It's the largest hip-hop, rap, genre, promotions, DJ group pretty much in the country, or maybe the world. I don't know, because we did some pretty big dances, LA Sports Arena, 10,000 party people, just DJs, so that's the way we used to do it. But Roger Clayton was the head of that, rest in peace, him, Gid Martin, and they started Uncle's Armor, and underneath all of that whole umbrella was Ice-T, the Egyptian Lover, Bobcat, the LA Posse. He had a lot of talent under his umbrella, and so Roger, he was very important to the game, not just the West Coast, but the game, period, as far as hip-hop, because he was really part of the K-Day movement. A lot of people don't know that K-Day was the first all-rap radio station in the country. It wasn't in New York. It was in L.A. Leora will tell you that. And Roger Clayton, very important piece of the hip-hop game puzzle, especially on the West Coast, but in the country as all anyway.
And something I've been trying to figure out and better understand is because of Uncle Jam's Army, because of the magnificence of a lot of the early DJs, I've kind of been more and more puzzled over the years as to why the DJs never got more clout or more respect, the ones from the West Coast, because there's so many iconic ones. There's dozens. So why do you think that is?
Right. I really don't. That's a really good question. I don't know why we didn't get the respect we earned ours away. When I look back on it, hip hop and the DJs in New York the DJs in New York, they got all the respect, they got the just due, because that was the planning ground pop, But when the DJs on the West Coast came about, we had a different style. The East Coast DJs, especially like Curtis Blow, used to say, I'm nervous. He said, your music makes me nervous. That's what Curtis used to tell us. But it was we just had a different style, a different pace. We would take the fast records like Planet Rock and all those fast records, what we call fast records, and we would speed them up even more just to get that, that edge, So, and all the DJs used to do that on the West Coast. Battle Cat, Bobcat, Egypt, There was one kid. Damn, I can't remember his name right now. But he was really, really Aladdin, DJ Aladdin. Yeah, those guys, they were really, really. I mean, speed the records up, do it, play records backwards, play records, turn the needle upside down, and I mean, we would just think of any way we could work a turntable. We were the first ones to turn the turntables and turn them sideways. You know what I'm saying? We just anything that we could do differently, we had to actually make our own way as far as the West Coast DJs concerned, because the East Coast DJs weren't doing it like that. They were just playing records, doogie, 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 doogie. And, you know, and blending records, we were doing, you know, when the scratching came in, everybody on the East Coast was scratch, 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 but the scratching on the West Coast just evolved into another animal. You know, especially with Xzibit and Bobcat and Aladdin, those guys, they were just magnificent when it came to that. And Battle Cat, those guys were nuts.
Yeah, I've said this now in a couple of interviews, but Aladdin is one of the top 3 that I've ever seen in person. And him, Scratch, and Jazzy Jeff. Aladdin is just astonishing.
I used to be amazed to watch. You know, I never had the desire to scratch like that. It was just amazing for me to just watch them. And I used to sit and watch Xzibit and Bobcat come up with new scratches. It was just crazy. I'm like, okay, well, how did you think of that? You don't smoke weed, so how did you do that? You know, so it was crazy.
Right. And then I also was trying to get some clarification. Did you work with Levert early in the game? In your career, at least?
No. Okay. When early in our career, Daryl and I, we were sent to Atlantic Records. We had a production deal over there with Sylvia Rome. And that's how I met Levert. Gerald, it was, we were pretty much Sylvia's babies. It was the Posse, it was the Levert crew, and it was the Troop crew. The guys from Troop. And Steve and those guys. And so we, you know, every time there was an event or something like that, Sylvia would say, you guys, make sure you guys are there. We were her babies. So that's how I met Levert, the Levert family, Gerald.
So what made you guys, how did you guys get that deal so early?
Okay. We weren't supposed to get that deal, according to powers that be. Leor, we were with Def Jam. Daryl and I had hooked up with a couple of attorneys, Steve Shapiro, Dave Mattel. What's up, guys? We hooked up with them, and they were brand new. They had no clients. They were just trying to get into the game themselves. They told us after the Bigger and Deffer album released, we were sitting at Def Jam still, not really making a lot of money, you know, even though the success of the album, you know, we didn't know the game. And so the attorney that we had at that time was Robert Rosenblatt, and he introduced us to Steve and Dave. And Steve and Dave said, look, if you give me 6 months, I'll have $1 million for you. And I looked at Daryl, and Daryl looked at me. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, what do we got to lose? We're not doing nothing to Def Jam. We just sitting around, you know, making tracks and not really making a lot of money. You got your 6 months. 3 months later, he came back with the Atlantic deal with an advance of $686,000 and the Virgin publishing deal with an advance of $350,000. There's our $1 million. So we hooked up with them. Getting that deal, Leor told us, nobody's going to give you guys $1 million, such and such and such. I'm like, okay, well, he says he's going to do it. And when we got that deal, Leor tried to get back into the negotiating part of the deal, which Daryl was already handling. But Leor, being the impatient person that he is, didn't want to wait in the lobby of Atlantic as long as we were waiting. Only later, like 15, 20 minutes. And Leor left. And so Sylvia comes out and she says, okay, you guys ready? He says, where's Leor? I said, and he left. And the security guy said, yes, Sylvia, he left. He said, and Sylvia looked at me and Daryl said, okay, come on, I'll just do the deal with you guys. And Wendell did the deal.
Wow.
So be it. And the deal included Breeze, the Wise Guys, which was Ill and Out Scratch, Stretch, or Ill from Ill Out Scratch, and Stretch-O-Matic Dancer, and a couple other guys. And we also had Rage back then. We had Monifa. Nikki D. We had the Organized Confusion. We had a nice little stable. Everybody didn't get signed by Sylvia. Sylvia took Yo-Yo over Rage. So, everybody didn't get signed, but that's where that was. We were funneling all our artists through Atlantic, and they had first dibs.
All right, well now we gotta take it back because I thought the Levert thing happened a little earlier than what I realized. But
well, wait a minute. Okay, as far as the Levert family, as far as Gerald, I didn't meet Gerald until we got with Atlantic, but I knew his sister, Shanquetta. Matter of fact, one of the guys from Uncle Jam's Army, Lester, was Shanquetta's baby's father. So we had known Shanquetta early in the game before we even got to New York. But as far as the Levert family and Gerald, I didn't meet them until we got with Atlantic.
Okay. So then the Double D Automatic Body Rock record.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Somebody did their homework.
Well, I know a little bit. I don't know everything, but I know a little bit. But the thing that amazed me understanding that record was that a year later is Bigger and Deffer. So how, like, professionally, creatively, artistically, writing-wise, how did you guys evolve from Double D into what you guys did with Bigger and Deffer? Like, that was, to me, a huge change.
Okay. The Double D project was an experiment. It wasn't really nothing that we had set out and planned to do. We were just trying to pretty much be like our mentors, trying to make records like Egypt was making, like Roger was making. And that's how the Double D project came about. But that wasn't us. That wasn't, we were just trying to copy or, mimic the blueprint of what was laid before us. But once we got to New York and pretty much took on that culture, we were free to make whatever we wanted to make. And that's what we made. That's what we came out. When we went to the studio with LL, we had no plan. We were just going to go in and make music and see what happens. And, out of that came I'm Bad, I Need Love, all those, joints. And it was just a matter of just us making what we felt like making. It wasn't a blueprint. Nobody told us what we wanted, what we needed to make, what we had to make. You got to make something like this or something like, no, nobody told us that. We just went in and did what we felt like making.
So then, from what I understand, from what Daryl had told me, and just knowing from back in the day, so Breeze is how you guys got to Def Jam and going to New York initially, right?
Originally, yeah, because we met Russell. Well, we saw Russell. We'd already known Russell, but we saw him at BRE. You remember the BRE?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met him at the BRE. Yeah, the Black Radio exclusive. Yep. And we saw him there. He was playing cassettes of everybody that was in the lobby, and he was just putting them in, playing them for like 3 seconds, taking them out, and just not even giving them back to the artist, just throwing them here. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. Wow. And we was like, what do we got to lose? Everybody was getting clowned. It was our turn to get clowned. We gave him the demo of Breeze, cassette that we did, and it was called Popcorn. And he put it in the cassette, played it for 15 seconds, not 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Stopped it, and we waited for him to pull it out and throw it away. He stopped it, rewound it, and played it again. And he's like, "Who is this?" I said, "This is just me." They didn't call me Muff then. They called me Dwayne. And he's like, "Who's with you?" I said, "It's me. It's Breeze." And then Daryl nudged me. He said, "Yeah, my man Daryl." And he said, "I want you guys to no." Let me back. He had Gary Harris, rest in peace, and Bill Stephanie with him. And he said, "Bill, Gary, call Heidi. I want these guys in New York next week." And that was on a Sunday morning. We were in New York.
Wow.
That's long story short. I mean, that's even not even a long story short. It's just a story. That's the way it was. That's how quick it went.
So then explain how you, Daryl, and Breeze met and got to work together.
Okay.
And
I'm here.
how you got Muffla, too. I've always been curious what that.
Okay, wait. Let me tell you the first one story. Okay, how we hooked up with Breeze. Daryl actually found Breeze. We were doing like a small talent show out here at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds at a little place hosts like 700 people. And we were throwing a little side Uncle Jam's Army dance. You know, we had the big dances, but, you know, people in Uncle Jam's Army, all the DJs, they had their little side gigs. And we had a little side gig. And Daryl brought down the talent. This guy named Ant Love, Ant Moore, and Breeze, and his little crew. And he brought them out. And, yo, that kid was nice. Breeze was only like 14, 15 years old. And he was dope. So we said, yo, let's take him in the studio and let's cut some demos on it. Let's cut something on him. And we went, I had a drum machine, my first 808. And we went to this little studio in Studio City and we cut Popcorn. And that puppy was, I thought it was cool. I didn't know it was as great a record as it was. I haven't heard it since then. Because we had actually cut a acetate, you know, those little demo records. We cut one, and Breeze was supposed to bring it to to New York with him when he came with us. He was supposed to bring it. That motherfucker left it in the cab. And he lost it. I'm like, that was the only copy, dude. He's like, oh, I lost it, man. Anyways, that's how we met Breeze. We met Breeze through a talent show at a Uncle Jam's Army side dance in the Antelope Valley.
And then how did you
and
Daryl Big Dad get to meet in that?
Okay. I had just gotten out of the military. I was in the Air Force. It was December 1982. And I had a girlfriend of mine, and she was she knew some guys at Antelope Valley College that said they wanted to throw a party. And they said, well, why don't you get with Dwayne? He just got home. He's with Uncle Jam's Army. Get with him. So Lester and Daryl were students at Antelope Valley College. And they came and they hooked up with me and said, yo, we want to throw a dance. You know, what do we got to do? I said, okay, well, let's find a venue. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, all the little particulars. And ever since then, we were together, all three of us. Lester became security for Uncle Jam's. Daryl became one of the guys that, you know, went out and hang posters and handed out flyers, you know, because they came in with me, you know, and so they were accepted with open arms by the rest of the guys, and they became part of the Uncle Jam family.
Wow. And then how'd you get the Muffla name?
Okay, let's fast forward to the making of what was the name of that song? I think it's My Rhyme Ain't Done.
Okay.
We were at Chungking, the engineer and I, Steve Ed, rest in peace, and Bobcat, Daryl, and LL wanted to go get something to eat. And back then, where everybody was drinking 40 ounces. And a lesson to all engineers, studio producers, though, when you drink in the studio, the first thing you lose is your ears. That's the first thing you lose. That's the first thing that dies out. So they wanted to go get something to eat. Those guys left, and while they were gone, I stayed and I was mixing the record. But I was drunk. And so about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours later, Bobcat, Daryl, LL, they come back to the studio. I'm on the couch, sleep. And they wake me up and says, Dwayne, did you finish mixing the record? I'm like, oh yeah, it's in there. Go ahead and turn it, just hit play. So we all go in there and they sit down and they hit play. And instead of clarity and a mixed record, they hear the whole track was muffled.
Wow.
Bobcat says, you know what? I'm going to call you Muffler from now on. Because you done muffled the whole song. And that's how I got the name Muffler.
Wow. Okay.
Now, that's the real story. The other story is X-rated.
We'll stick to the real story for now.
Yeah, let's stick to the real story.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.